This moment, when you are watching this video, the neurons in your brain are firing in anticipation. It perceives some strange voice is saying something, a story is unfolding, and you are listening to it, and you feel as if time is moving forward. Now, what if I told you that nothing is happening? Nothing is unfolding. Every sounds, words, and visuals that you see in sequence in this video is already told. It is already uploaded in the YouTube, and you are just watching it 1 second at a time. So there is a story unfolding for you only in the now moment. But I never made this video while you are watching it. You see, I have already uploaded the entire video, but you are watching it now and experiencing it in your own timeline. What if your entire life is like my video upload like this, like a DVD? The story of your life is already on the DVD. The only difference is you don't have a forward, reverse, or a pause button. You are forced to experience the DVD one moment at a time. What if I tell you that this analogy which I am saying right now has a strong scientific and spiritual backing to prove that this may be the true nature of reality? Einstein once said, for us believing physicists, the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. Einstein unified the idea of three-dimensional space to the idea of the fourth dimension, which is time, and he called this four-dimensional structure as space-time. What he means is that all of space-time, from the moment of initial existence to however things end, exists fully and completely all at once. In other words, starting from what the cosmologists believe as the Big Bang, which gave birth to this universe some 14 billion years ago, to the formation of stars in the Milky Way galaxy, to the creation of Earth some 4.5 billion years ago, to the time of the dinosaurs, to the events happening on Earth today, and to the end of the universe. Everything exists fully and completely all at once. Things don't come into being in the future or recede into the past. That's just an illusion. All of it that exists right now has existed since the beginning of space-time and never goes away. We just travel through it, and it is only because of the way we experience space-time that makes it seem as if there is a difference between past and future, and hence there seemed to be an experience of time. Let's take the analogy of the 20th century philosopher Alan Watts. Suppose you look at a narrow slit through a fence and you see a snake moving from left to right. You first see the snake's head, and then the long trailing body, and then finally its tail. Assume that you have never seen a snake before and you don't know how it looks, and this is the first time you encounter a snake in your lifetime. Therefore, out of ignorance, the chances are you may think that the head is one event that causes the tail event, and the tail is the effect. If I look at a whole snake, I will look at a head-tailed snake, and it would be simply absurd to think that the head is the cause of the tail, as if the snake came into being the head first and then the tail. But in actuality, a snake comes into being out of its egg as a head-tailed snake. So exactly in the same way, consider the birth of universe as a snake. The beginning and the end, everything is contained in the space-time. Now take another amusing analogy to have a glimpse about how we human beings experience our lives on this universe. Think of the entirety of space-time as being a giant loaf of bread. At one crust slice is the start of space-time, and the other crust slice is the end of the space-time. But the entire loaf exists all at once and came out of the oven fully baked. It's not changing at all. Imagine a tiny ant starting at the beginning crust and eating its way through in a straight line from one end to the other. It can't back up and it can't change its pace. It can only move steadily forward. And with each bite, it can only get sensory input from the part of the loaf its sensory organs are touching. To the ant, it seems that each moment is unique, and while it may remember the moments from behind it, it may anticipate the moments that are yet to come. It seems there is a difference in the past and future, but the loaf is already there on both ends. Now, what makes it weirder is that the ant itself is baked into the loaf from start to finish. So, in a sense, it's merely occupying a new version of itself from one moment to the next. This also isn't quite right, since it's more accurate to say that the ant is a collection of all the separate moments the ant experiences. It's not an individual creature making its way from one end to the other. It's the entire history of the creature that starts to finish. Let's consider a candle. You may say there is a flame in the candle. But if you ask me, I would say there is a flaming in the candle. Because you see, a flame is a stream of hot gas. It is not constant, you see, it's a stream. Each moment it changes. But what seems like constant is a pattern of fire. Similar to a whirlpool. You go to a waterfall today and you see a whirlpool. You go there tomorrow, you see the whirlpool. But it is not the same whirlpool, you see, because water is rushing through it every moment. It's a pattern of whirlpool. You and me are just like a flame in a candle or a whirlpool in a river. A fruit has various stages before it gets rot. Similar to human beings, we have various stages in between our birth and death. You see, the fruit does not go bad. It exists eternally as a good fruit in one slice of space-time. Then somewhat less good fruit in another slice of space-time. Then even less good fruit in another slice, all the way through rotten fruit in another slice of space-time. But those slices, as part of the whole loaf, are all there. They don't come into being, they just exist. For some reason though, we can't access all the slices of space-time simultaneously. We access them in a way that makes it seem like time passes. But to a creature that can somehow see all of space-time at once, the fruit exists as an entire history, from bud to flower to fertilized plant cell to minuscule fruit to growing fruit to ripe fruit to overripe fruit to rotten fruit to a decayed fruit. So, exactly in the same way, what you are is also a pattern. You are not the same person when compared to the previous moment or in the next moment. You are just like a flame in the candle. Everything about your life, starting from your birth to death, it all exists in the space-time, just like a movie on a DVD. And you can only experience it without any control over it. You cannot pause it, fast forward it, reverse it. You probably may not like the movie, and it may not have a cinematic ending. But it is our movie, and it is the only movie. We better find a way to like this movie.